This one just angers me. I was going to dive right into it. This is freaking, I'm just so freaking ticked off. So here's Ed McQuarrie, who I'm a big fan of. I don't know why he's attaching his flag to Bernstein. I don't get it. Oh, my goodness. Ed has done some great job. He's just, it's embarrassing that he's putting his name on this crap, because this is a steaming pile of Finnegan's poop right here, and I don't understand why Ed would. And Bernstein I don't like. He's, freaking, I've never met the guy, never will. Just ego-filled, one of those deep thinkers. I'm a deep thinker. I'm a thought leader. Ugh. Anyway, so check this out. This is freaking insane. So the challenge is here is whistling past a graveyard. Good news! You only have to cover 70% of your pre-retirement spending. It's because you ran out of money. Oops, we said the quiet part out loud. Everyone thought your retirement spending went down, or dumb, it didn't go down. No one said, dudes, that you only need 70% of your pre-retirement spending. I've never heard that. It's 70% of your pre-retirement income. And I even challenge that. In fact, we go back to actuaries we talked about here before, Frederick Vatisse. It was just the freaking data's over the roof on this. It's not even debatable. But no, this is a straw man. Classic straw man. Oh, you think you can need less to retire because you only need 70% of your pre-retirement spending. Ha ha, I gotcha. No one said that. We're saying pre-retirement income. Ugh, it drives me up the wall. And I don't know if they're smart enough to know that's a straw man argument. Because what a straw man argument is, I'm going to assign an argument to you that I can smash down. And the guy who's having the argument assigned to him said that's not the argument I made at all. No one that I know who's legit in this retirement realm is saying you need 70% of your pre-retirement spending. That's just freaking idiotic. We're saying how much income do you need relative to your pre-retirement income. Ugh. Anyways, keep going here. It drives me up the wall. And then they use right here, the fairy tale of decreased spending. All right, right here. They're going to go on there's a let's see, hold on a sec. They'll use this article from Anki Chen and Alicia Modell of the Center for Retirement Research that showed that spending fell only 0.75% per year in their overall population. Okay. All right. And then, so basically what these guys are saying is they're saying your spending doesn't drop at retirement. In fact, there's no significant drop at all because you're going to have a consumption smoothing. Your spending doesn't drop at retirement. And we're going to cite Alicia Monell and to not even show you that your spending doesn't drop at retirement, but in fact, it only drops a little bit, 0.75% a year for 20 years. And that's 15%. And they'd say, well, the median or whatever is 7.5%. That's not what Alicia Monell and Anki Chen say, though. That's the funny thing. And this is a straw man. I don't know if this would be a straw man, but right here. This is from their article. Right here from 2021, do retirees want constant increasing or decreasing consumption, which is exactly what these guys have cited, this article right here, as their number one evidence point. Most previous studies had looked at the change in retirement, finding a sharp post-retirement drop as retirees consume less than they did while working. This decline has been called the retirement consumption puzzle, as it seemingly contradicts the life cycle's model's prediction that people smooth their consumption over predictable income changes. Again, so these people are saying Alicia Monell is our evidence point that retiree spending doesn't drop nearly to the extent in retirement as what other people said. And they're using this to say that retirees don't, when you're pre-retirement and post-retirement, your spending doesn't drop off at all. That's what they're arguing, that there is no decline at all. And certainly in retirement, there's not the decline at all. And that's absolutely not what Alicia Monell says here. And I'm not a big fan of their research either. Retirement research has resolved this puzzle with three complementary explanations. First, work-related expenses decline. All right. Second, food expenditures decrease as retirees have more time to spend on cooking and shopping for low prices. Third, some people have been forced into involuntary retirement due to adverse health event or unemployment, which is an unexpected negative shock that life cycle models would lead people to reduce their consumption. I don't deny that's true. Some people do get forced into early retirement. They spend less than they would have otherwise if they're working. While these factors explain the change in consumption at retirement. So what's the guy named Bernstein and McQuarrie? She just said right there, your evidence is being used against you. She is saying right there, while these factors explain the change in consumption at retirement, because what these guys say is they'll go over here and say, check this, talking about how your spending doesn't drop when you first retire. Few retirees pay off both their mortgages and kids' colleges precisely at 64 years and 11 months. Okay, so that's their argument that, hey, there's not a big drop in spending once you retire. And yet Alicia Manel and Anki Chen, their own evidence, is saying the exact opposite, that there is. Now, Alicia Manel have some legit reasons why that happens. So they say, while these three factors explain the change in consumption at retirement, they do not extend to the consumption changes during retirement. One constraint researchers face and examine longer periods is a study that provides for comprehensive and consistent panel data on consumption, such as the Consumer Expenditure Survey covers only a short period. Well, I mean, it goes back to 1982. I don't know. That's a long period if you ask me. I don't know how you could say it covers only a short period. I mean, what they're saying is, hey, it's every 2 years. They might model new retirees and stuff. But, yeah, we have a pretty significant cohort of people we can kind of track. You know what I'm saying? To say, hey, from 1982, this cohort was 25. 2025, that cohort is, 65 or something like that. Anyway, right here. Observed declines may not reflect household preferences, but instead may be due to financial constraints. May not reflect household preferences. These people compared the consumption paths of different retirement adequacy groups and found flatter paths for households who are more prepared. These results suggest that declines in consumption are, at least in part, due to financial constraints. However, financial resources may not be the only constraint that affects consumption paths. Households may prefer to consume more but are unable due to health restrictions. And again, this is their evidence that they're using right here. The best data on retirement spending falls comes from that literally just piece I just showed you right there. Against the best true data that shows it doesn't fall like that. And then they actually cite Michael Hurd and Susan Rottweiler, and I'm like, dude, you actually, Rowetter, and I said, you're actually citing these people as your evidence? Crazy. That doesn't make any sense. That's stupid. And then they go down here, which cracked me up. Check this out. Another study by Douglas Bernheim and his colleagues, which sorted retirees by both health and wealth and income, likewise showed the same thing, that additionally, those simultaneously in both highest wealth and income spent more in retirement. So let's click on that study. Now, I think I'm familiar with Bernheim, I'm not familiar with the study, so I clicked on it. Watch what you see here. I said, oh, that's from 2001. So now we're citing studies from 25 years ago, aren't we? Okay, that's fine. But as we look at what they say here, right here, there is an immense amount of data out there on people spend before and after retirement, and yet they're citing studies from 2001. But the funniest thing that cracked me up right here, and we talk about here, perhaps the best compilation of data on the financial health of retirees comes from his MIT legendary James Patorba, which dissected the total asset of multiple age cohorts. All right, we strongly recommend that anyone managing other people's money or even your own download it and read it carefully before rendering an opinion on the adequacy of retirement savings. All right, so a couple things. That was from 2014. All right, again, nothing inherently wrong with that. But this is your abundance of data proving your point. We got from one from 2001, 2014, which I'll blow up here in just a second. And then we got from Alicia Manel's in 2021, which we just talked about. Is not a good piece of evidence for these guys right here. But the even funnier thing is, check this. And look, this article is literally from right here, 2025, just like today, 6 days ago. By the way, today's my 26th anniversary. So anyway. So here's what Paterba says, because I'm perturbed by Paterba. In the first through fourth quartiles of income of Americans 65 and older, the percentages of income from Social Security were 85, 84, 57, and 18%. Hold on a second. Again, are you reading this? Does this ring any bells to you? From the first through fourth quartiles of income for Americans aged 65 and older, the percentages of income from Social Security were 85, 84, 57, and 18%. And my spidey senses, I know exactly where he's getting that from. Perhaps the most stunning data, let's see here, hold on a second. Perhaps the most stunning data in the paper comes from the compilation of retirement accounts by the types of Americans owned aged 55 to 64. And you can see right here, all right, age 55 to 64 is pre-retirees. All right, you see if you have an IRA, defined benefit, and a defined contribution plan, your median account value is $545,000. If you have a defined benefit, a defined contribution, 401k, and an IRA, it was $185,000. That's in 2012. All right, the median assets in 2012. These data are more than a decade year old, and one might think the high subsequent security returns paint a sunnier picture. Sadly, no. While Paterba has not updated the above correspondence survey, the data on DC balances is downright depressing. All right. So again, we're using 2014 data to show how depressing it is. And we go down here. For example, Vanguard's How America Saves shows that between, shows that between 2013, the media defined contribution plan for age 55 to 64 was $73,000 to $95,000. That's depressing, is it? Well, if we actually look at the survey for consumer finances, we can see the net worth has increased significantly. All right. Anyway, let's keep going here. That in of itself is not depressing, as we know, because we looked at Edward Wolf's study, and I have huge issues with that he just published from New York University. He said, wow, the older people are doing pretty well. The older people are doing pretty well, aren't they? Yes, they are. We can see the older people's net worth growing significantly, and yet Edward Wolf had written in 2002 similar diatribes like this guy did. Like, oh my goodness, we're all going to run out of money. All right, so let's keep going here. I find that funny, because I just want to go back to this right here. For income for America 65 and older, let's see, where did he get that from? I wonder, let's take a gander, shall we? Yes, we shall. We're going to look right here. This is from 2014, so, the income and of age out chart book from Social Security Administration. We can see 50% or more, 61% according to Social Security Administration got 50% or more of income from Social Security. 61%. Interesting. All right, you can see that's on whole. And you can see 33%, 1 in every 3 in 2014 got 90% or more from Social Security. That's kind of crazy. And you can see right here, shares of aggregate income for the lowest and highest quintile. This is quintile, not quartile. 80% of the lowest, 20% of the lowest income get 80% of their income from Social Security. 15% of the highest 20%. That's directly from Social Security 2014, which is exactly what this guy says right here. The percentage of income from Social Security were 85% in the lowest quartile and 18% in the highest quartile. That's very interesting. Let's take a look at a modern one here. That's 2014. Let's see what we see here in 2025, shall we? Let's see what difference it was. Remember, in 2014, we were showing Social Security. Let's see here, hold on a second. In 2014, 33% of essentially retirees receiving 90% or more of their income from Social Security. Let's see what it is now, shall we? All right. Let's see. Social Security benefits represent about 31% of the income for people aged 65 or older. That's in 2025. That's interesting. Among Social Security beneficiaries aged 65 and older, 12% and 15% of men and 15% of women rely on Social Security for 90% of their income. Let's go back to what I said in 2014. 61% of Americans aged 65 and older were receiving 61% of Americans aged 65 or older were receiving more than half their income from Social Security. A third of every retiree, 65 and older, received 90% or more of their income from Social Security in 2014. Something's changed dramatically. Among Social Security beneficiaries aged 65 and older, 12% of men and 15% of women rely on Social Security for 90% of their income. Interesting. In fact, right here, they say 39% of men and 44% of women, so we'll just say 42%, receive 50% or more of their income from Social Security, which is way down from 61%. So what happened there, Bernstein and Ed? What happened? Did we suddenly run out of money? Or we don't need Social Security so much more? Or maybe your boy at Harvard, Paterby, didn't understand the numbers. Maybe he didn't understand the numbers. Why? Because he just looked at the data set from Social Security and said, oh, this has got to be right. Oh, and it turns out Social Security admitted in 2017 it was wrong. And yet you guys only want to update your numbers. You're still pushing this out in 2025, which tells me you're not serious. If you were serious, you would update these numbers. You would know the data sets. You would not use a piece of data from 2001, 2014, which is corrupted from all get out, just because that right there. And on top of that, Alicia's thing that is supposedly your evidence that says, hey, retiree spending isn't going down. Okay, but still going. Even Alicia's evidence right there. It doesn't say pre-retirement, post-retirement, there's no drop-off in spending like you guys are assuming. It's saying there is a drop-off. But then what happens after that? It might not drop off to 1 to 2% a year, as, Roadwider and Herd have said, many others have said too, but it's certainly still dropping. I can't, it's like, you know what, again, what it is economists have physics envy. Physics people have math envy. Economists have physics envy. They want to be taken so seriously. And so we're going to cite a guy from MIT. We're going to say, look at this guy from MIT. Now, look, I'm not even going to talk about the Vanguard stuff here, about the median 401k and all that. I've done that before. This isn't the point of this video right here. That's not the point. It's, oh my goodness, we can't retire out of money. In fact, if we look at Alicia's national risk, retirement risk index thing, I've blown that apart a million times, so I'm not going to do that here. But at the end of the day, Social Security is a big part of our retirement plan. That doesn't mean it's bad, good, or anything. It just means it is. Does that mean you can't retire, that you have to keep working, that you have unfunded retirement plan? No, it means you've been paying a hell of a lot of tax for this thing called government. They force you to put in Social Security. You've been paying a hell of a lot of tax on that you could have used to save before, and now you're like, that's what I got to rely on. Is that a bad thing? I don't think it is at all. Should you rely on the government? Well, if you have the ability to freaking have extra money, yeah, you should save. Does that mean you're going to be bushwhacked in retirement? No. The evidence against these guys is so overwhelming. I get Bernstein. I mean, I get it. That guy's just... But Ed McQuarrie, of all guys, like, dude, man, that'd be like Andrew Biggs coming out and saying he likes the freaking, I don't know, SEC football. I'd be like, what? Biggs? I thought you were a Big Ten guy, man. I don't even know if he's probably not. He's probably a Stanford guy. All right, God bless. Smash. We'll see you.